Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Bayou Time. Harry McCulla here, and we're joined by the Lafourche Parish President, Mr. Archie Chaisson. Archie, thanks so much for joining us. We're about to start school, a whole new school year. A lot of stuff going on. We had a mask mandate that came down from Baton Rouge on Monday. So a lot of stuff it's all kind of combining at the same time. So I guess let's get this out of the way. What about the new variant and what kind of precautions y'all taking besides the indoor mask mandate that the governor has handed down?
Yeah, Harry, thanks. I think it's been a long time since you and I chatted, so it's good to see you again. But yeah, as is the topic of the day, so is COVID, right? The mask mandate came down yesterday from the governor, and of course we're gonna follow that. Stafford Act gives the governor and elected officials in my positions lots of power, but it didn't always give us the ability to supreme each other and jump over. A lot of talk yesterday. I received a lot of phone calls yesterday. Parish President Kenny Havard up in West Feliciana sent out a message that he was not going to enforce the governor's mask mandate. But when you look at West Feliciana, a vast majority of their population is vaccinated. I think they're about 74%. But West Feliciana is the home of Angola. So when you look at their numbers, that's influenced by the state penitentiary there. So I can kind of understand why President Havard did that. But look at a 33% vaccination rate. It's kind of tough for us as local leaders to do that. And I was back and forth on social media with some people today. It puts us in between a very hard rock and a hard place. We have a vast majority of the population, but I'll break it down in a third, right? A third of our parish would love me to lock everything back down until this goes away. A third of the parish would love me to open it up with zero restrictions whatsoever. And a third of the parish probably could really care less at this point because we're all just tired of dealing with it. So there's really no super majority to go with, right? When you try to, never gonna make everybody happy, right? But we tend to kind of go with the majority rule aspect when it comes to how do we make critical decisions about this, but it's tough. And like I said today, I pray every day that I can find whatever that right path is as we continue to go down this. But, mask mandates for schools, for all of our businesses across the parish. And we did a couple of weeks ago, we recommended and strongly encouraged people who were wearing masks when they came into our government building for services. And it was only it was really to protect the public as they came in, but also to protect our employees as people came in. So if you were unvaccinated, we've mandated that you wear a mask coming into our complex. And then we kind of encouraged it if you were vaccinated, but really weren't mandating at that point. But the governor kind of took away all of that yesterday when he did the statewide mask mandate, whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, kind of in accordance with those CDC guidelines. So we'll continue to follow that. Hopefully we get past whatever this next wave is with the Delta variant. We had a really good meeting, and Martin and I talked about this yesterday with our hospital CEOs, talking about ways to get past this, what their hospital statuses were, what their bed counts were looking like, things like that. But it also talked about a way to get the message out to the public as far as vaccinations go. And I know there is still a vast majority of people who are hesitant, especially in Lafourche, by looking at our numbers that haven't taken it for a majority of reasons. I know there are some people who are basically just waiting for the employer to mandate it. And once that happens, they're going to go get it. But some people are still going to be anti-vaxxers no matter what. And in America, they have that right. We're really encouraging people to do it. I took it, my own personal reasons, right? And look, do we know every side effect that this vaccine is going to have? No, but when our parents and grandparents took the measles vaccine and the polio vaccine way back then, they didn't know what was going to happen to them. They just took it because they knew there was an issue. And look, the vast majority of the population, I like to think I turned out just fine. If you talk to some people who think I have a face for radio, they would disagree with you. But, even when I went to school, you had to take the whole tranche of vaccines. We don't know what those long-term effects are, right? But we're in the 21st century where science has progressed so much from the date when those vaccines were made. Do I know what it did to my body when I took it completely? No, I felt fine after the 2 Pfizer doses that I took. Hell, I played golf each afternoon after I got it. But look, at the end of the day, I want to be able to walk my 2 little girls down the aisle in the coming years, hopefully as they get married. And if this one vaccine is going to give me a greater chance of doing that, then that's what I did. And that's why I did it. Right. And I think if we can touch more of those personal stories, if we can get, the message across in that way somehow, then maybe it'll help our vaccine rates go up as well.
Well, yeah, for sure. And, we have done a good job trying to vaccinate people. It's been available for everybody. It seems like the most vulnerable, the nursing homes, and have done well. And we haven't heard of a bunch of deaths there. So it certainly seems to be working in those cases as well. It is heartbreaking when you see somebody in a hospital that's in trouble and they go, God, I wish I'd have gotten a vaccine. So, I know what you're saying. It has been a political deal for sure. That's been a tough go for sure. Hey, we got about a minute to go though. Let's talk something positive. Infrastructure for the parish. It seems with the new infrastructure bill that you guys are going to be able to do some drainage and some other things around the parish.
Yeah, no doubt. Congressman Graves was in town today. We had the opportunity to meet with him this morning, and then I heard him speak again at the Thibodeau Rotary Club for lunch. And what's coming through Congress is going to do a great deal, I think, locally for the bigger infrastructure packages. But luckily, as part of that American Rescue Plan that came out right after President Biden took office, the parish got about $18.9 million that we're going to be able to do a huge amount of work with when it comes to drainage infrastructure, improving our pumping capacity, and then really looking at the way we do drainage parish-wide. And helping us improve as we see future developments, especially kind of in that West Thibodeau as things expand northward for us.
Oh, for sure. And things have certainly been growing out that way. And every time something grows, there's always somebody talking about drainage. It's a never ending thing. So, but it'll be good to have a lot of money to do some infrastructure and things that are going on as well. Now we have about 15 seconds, but are you guys ready for school and everything's ready to go with that?
Yeah, Superintendent Martin and Tina Babin, who's the school board president, along with their staff and the rest of the school board, have done a tremendous job in trying to get ready for the school year. Not knowing what was going to happen with masks or variants or anything like that, but I think everybody's excited to get kids back to school. I know there's still some hesitancy out there with it, as much as the surges we're seeing, but I think we're ready. My two little ones are ready to get back to third and first grade, so it'll be fun on Thursday when buses start rolling again.
Around here, we got another thing that comes from the south usually, and that's storms. And our hurricane season officially starts in June, but it's really from August 15th to September 15th is the time we really got to watch out. It's been kind of quiet, but you guys ready? And I guess with an eye towards the tropics.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of something we always watch, right? And for us, June 1st start of hurricane season is really just another Monday on the calendar. It's kind of hurricane prep for us is all year. Our public works guys do a bang up job every day of the week out there trying to clear drainage ditches and make sure pumps are operational with our mechanics. We're in constant communication with our levee districts with projects they're working on to make sure that outfall canals are clear so we can get the water to the pump as they continue to dredge and build up levees. And, Wendell and Dwayne do a great service for both ends of our parish, right? And we tend to joke, my dad's birthday is August 31st, and that's typically when we get whopped with one. So we always say his birthday present is when the electricity comes back on. But we really are starting to get into the height of the season. And for us, it's kind of a constant everyday routine. We have inmates that come out that we work with that are constantly filling sandbags. If you pass by one of our field offices, you either see the huge stack of white bags under one of the covers, or you'll see a huge shipping container where we have kind of pre-made sandbags stored up in case we need them, or when we open up our handout sites where we can hand them out to residents as they come through for those who are seniors or disabled. But, the coordination between that goes into this, right? When we kind of do a pre-hurricane season meeting every year with all of the officials in the parish, from the sheriff to our levee districts to the schools, because you think about, we have to call an evacuation. Well, how do we get people out? Well, we use school buses. So Jared and I kind of have to be talking when we figure out, all right, when are we going to pull those triggers so we can get those school buses up and running? Constant coordination with the levee district, so we know when they're closing the locks, when we have to close structures, especially in North Lafourche, that may affect commerce, that may affect people coming in and out to their businesses, the waterfront access, things like that. So those sort of meetings kind of get us kicked off every year. And then we kind of hot wash how last year went. Last year was a very, hopefully, what would be seen as an abnormal season where we were kind of in that cone of error 7 times. And then finally got whopped at the very end of October with Zeta that caused, a couple of $1 million worth of damage to the lower end of the parish. So it's little things like that we keep up with every year that kind of keep us going.
Yeah, for sure. And right. If you waited till right now to get started, we'd be way behind for sure. We talked a little bit about infrastructure earlier on, but with the new bills that are coming, and I guess that's always part of it, is to balance what Wendell and those guys are doing, with the levee district, balancing what your guys are doing. So how does that all tie together, and what projects can we look forward to with that?
Yeah, Wendell has a very unique system, right? It's a 42-mile ring levee system. So our big job in South Lafourche is to get the water to his pump stations, right? It's very easy with those big outfall canals. If we're doing our job right in the neighborhoods, we can get the water out. The North Lafourche system is a much more dynamic system because it's not completely finished yet. We have a great deal of protection in a lot of areas, but the higher we can go, the wider we can go, the better off we know we're going to be. And with that comes some increased challenges with how do we get the water there. You know, as we see the increased development, especially on the west side of Thibodeau that we talked about before the break, you know, it's how do we upgrade these pump stations, right? Because as you lose sugarcane field to concrete, that water runoff is a whole lot quicker. That water runoff is a whole lot more. So as we put more water, you know, as more water flows into these outfall canals, we have to have bigger pumping capacity to get through it. So when we talk about, you know, the $18.9 million we get from the American Rescue Plan, when we talk about the potential for, you know, increased infrastructure dollars for hurricane and flood protection, that Congressman Graves, and I know Congressman Scalise and the whole Louisiana delegation is fighting to get into this next infrastructure package. Those are the things we look for, right? Because we have to increase pumping capacity. We have to increase, you know, pumping efficiency so we can do it a lot better. We can do it a lot cheaper. You know, we had a huge discussion just this morning with a local, you know, an engineering firm looking at some funding opportunities to look at more electric pumps than we do diesel driven, right? Better for the environment, no doubt, that we're not doing a huge amount of emissions, but also we can do more efficient work with electricity. But then you got to talk about what happens when the power goes out, right? Do you have a megawatt generator sitting next door to this pump station that can kick on in the event the power goes out during a storm? So there's always a complication there. But, you know, the infusion of those infrastructure dollars, especially from the American Rescue Plan, are going to allow us to do some things that we might not otherwise been able to do just because of funding streams inside parish government operating under the everyday tax dollars that we get. And while we always try to do more with less, right, with people's tax dollars and try to get the most bang for our buck, having an extra 18 million or 19 million in the bank is a huge thing and going to allow us to consolidate some pump stations into doing some bigger stations so that we don't have, you know, we have, I think 86 I know we have 86 pump stations with 168 individual pumps spread across Lafourche Parish. If we can shrink that number to 60, right, that's less fuel we have to buy, that's less people that we have to have running pumps that we're paying overtime for, things like that. So that allows us to take that money and put it into something else. Can we get a better piece of equipment that allows us to dig ditches a little quicker, a little bit better, a little bit more efficiently? Does that allow us to give us an extra body in a machine to dig ditches that'll help get water to these pump stations faster? So it's things like that we're trying to think through a little bit more outside the box than we typically do in parish government, so we can continue to do more with not knowing that, you know, every couple of years we're going to have a windfall of $19 million show up in our bank account.
And that's my final question. About 30 seconds left. Are you guys already planning for down the road when these big checks from the feds are coming in, and how are we going to manage things down the road?
Yeah, we are. And that's a constant battle for us. And the other part is, you know, while we're going to do a lot of new infrastructure with this, we're thinking down the road to, you know, 25 years from now, when I'm not going to be in this chair anymore, how much of a headache it is going to be to operate and maintain these things then, that we don't saddle the next parish president with a whole bunch of stuff that now he has to go fix that's going to cost him a whole bunch of money.
Right. Well, you could spend it all, and that's his problem. But well, Archie, sure appreciate it, man, and best of luck and getting off to a good school year. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Harry. Good talking to you.
We'll be back with more Bayou Time after this.